about it. I'm not so good with technology. As already, I think, was mentioned earlier, I just want to summarize that the general approach to abortion can be viewed on different levels, and there are actually two strongly opposing philosophical and religious viewpoints. On the one hand, there are those who absolutely oppose abortion because they regard the fetus as a full and independent human being from conception on, and therefore this fetus has absolute rights which are totally equal to those of the mother, and hence, according to this view, one can never set aside the right of the fetus to life. No reason is justified to abort a fetus at any stage. That is one position. The opposite position is this that allows abortion at the free will of the mother, emphasizing the basic right of a woman over her body, meaning that the fetus has no rights whatsoever as long as he is a fetus until he is born, and the woman has full rights on her body, and therefore she is permitted to perform an abortion at will at any stage of pregnancy, even if she doesn't give any reason why she wants to do it. So these are two very opposing viewpoints that are parts of societies that we know. Next, please. There are a few arguments against these strict viewpoints. The viewpoint which is called pro-choice, which gives the woman a total right on her body and disregards totally the fetus, that even biologically is problematic because the fetus is a different entity than the mother, at least at certain stages of pregnancy. And there is really no inherent difference between a fetus a moment before birth and a newborn a moment after birth. So how is it so easy to abort or, to some viewpoints, kill the fetus at advanced stages when he is totally independent biologically from his mother, and therefore he should have independent rights, at least to a degree. And even if we accept the thesis that a woman has a right to do with her body as she pleases, it is true only if there are not opposing rights of others. And it is difficult to accept that a fetus has no rights whatsoever during any stage of pregnancy, and so that there are opposing rights, and therefore we have to balance between them, but it is hard to accept that the pro-choice allows abortion on free will of the pregnant woman. On the other hand, the pro-life approach, which gives the fetus equal and full rights the same as the mother, has its difficulties because we cannot ignore the fundamental difference between an existing human being, namely the mother, and a potential existence, namely the fetus. So logically and morally, it seems like there should be at least some difference between the two rights, so that the mother would have stronger rights for life than the fetus. Next, please. From a Jewish point of view, one can say that the approach is sort of a golden middle path between the two opposing views. On the one hand, the fundamental principle in Judaism is that a fetus has a right to be born and to exist. On the other hand, its rights to live is less than the right of the mother to live. And therefore, there is a negative attitude towards abortion unanimously among rabbinic decisors and commentators, so that nearly all agree that some type of prohibition involves abortion, but the debate amongst rabbinic scholars is in the nature of the prohibition, its seriousness, and the reason for the prohibition. And hence, the outcome, when do we say that abortion is forbidden, and when do we allow abortion? Next, please. So there can be maternal indications for abortion, and there can be fetal indications for abortion. Maternal indications for abortion are such that the mother is in danger if she continues the pregnancy or at delivery, and the danger can be a total danger.
Go all the way there and basically doesn't click.
Excuse me? Can I continue?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the maternal indication can be based on the fact that the continuation of the pregnancy or the expected delivery will endanger the life of the mother, or even will worsen her medical condition to a significant degree. So in this case, the Jewish law prefers mother's life over the fetus, and there are two justifications for this ruling. One is that one is allowed to cut the fetus. In the old days, that was the way of performing abortion at advanced stages, because her life takes precedence over the life of the fetus. So as I said, the life of an existing human being is of greater value than the life of a potential human being that at the moment is endangering the life of the existing one. But if the fetus is already born, then he is an existing human being, the same as the mother, and then we can't prefer one life over the other. Another argument from a Jewish point of view to allow the abortion for the sake of the mother is the ruling of pursue, of a rodef, someone who is pursuing after another human being and he tries to kill him. It is permissible to kill the pursuer, even if he's an adult person, in order to save the life of the one that is pursued. And Judaism views the fetus, when it endangers the life of the mother, as a form of a pursuer. But if the fetus already is born, his head emerged, and he is already existing, then both are pursuing each other, and that is the natural way of birth, and therefore we cannot kill the fetus, which is already a newborn, at this stage. So these are two justifications to allow abortion in case of maternal indication. And incidentally, until about 50, 60 years ago, since the beginning of creation, all indications for abortion were maternal indications, because in those days there were no ways to know what is the situation of the fetus. Is he endangered? Is he sick? Is he disabled? We didn't know about it. So the questions were only related to the mother. Next one. Since, from a Jewish point of view, I think it's an important aspect, physical or psychological danger to the mother is also regarded as danger. So if the mother is in a situation that psychologically she will become significantly disabled, that is also a reason to save her life over the fetus's life. Next. But since about 50, 60 years ago, since the advance of ultrasound and later fetal MRI and genetic testing on amniocentesis, we can now detect the condition of the fetus before he is born, even though we can't see him with our eyes because he's still in the womb of the mother. And sometimes the fetus is not endangering the mother, but he may be in a sort of danger because of his malformations, because of his genetic mutations that can cause a life that is significantly disabled. So, if we regard abortion as a form of a murder, and if it is a biblical prohibition, then we cannot perform an abortion for fetal indications, which means that we are killing him in order to save him from himself. And that is the same as we would kill someone who's already born, and we see his disabilities, and we know that his life will be significantly disabled, and yet no one is proposing to kill such a child. If we relate to the fetus as a human being, and only when there is a precedence between him and his mother we allow abortion, then there's no way to allow abortion for fetal indications, except if the disorder of the fetus is of a nature that it is non-viable, so that if the fetus will be born and anyway die, then abortion is permissible because it is like a dead fetus already, and continuing the pregnancy with such a difficult situation is certainly not good for the mother. But if abortion from a Jewish legal viewpoint is only a rabbinic prohibition, then a fetus with serious disabilities can be aborted because rabbinic prohibitions are not assumed to be acquired when there is significant suffering by this prohibition. So if it is a biblical prohibition, then we have no right to kill the fetus as we have no right to kill the born child. If it is a biblical prohibition, then we're not allowed to kill the born child because this is murder by all means, but we can abort for serious disabilities a fetus if the prohibition of abortion is only rabbinical.
Sorry, Professor, sorry for the interruption, but just one minute left.
The last,
you can conclude.
Right. Please move the next slide. Next. Next. Okay, so the question is, are there stages in pregnancy where it is more lenient to perform abortion? So if it is biblically prohibited, then there's no minimal age of pregnancy, and abortion is forbidden at all stages of pregnancy. Next. If it is only rabbinical prohibited, then it is permissible to perform abortion with no maximal age until birth. And I think I'll stop here. This is a new topic that I thought maybe we'll have time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.